seems I'm having to grab your attention, using things that wise minds in disguise ought not mention. It's a little bit strange and even absurd, but I have only to tell what you've already heard. For I know of the knowledge you have studied and read, how the voice of the clock enriches your head, of the fact that your facts are nurtured, then bred by the way that I know, filled with life-giving water, but unable to drink it, filled with wisdom and knowledge, but unable to think it. Fear, in this way, said you not understand, but the lack of this lyric in that played a hand. Now with more than just faith in what someone can do, I am one who believes that someone is you. And in so believing that there is a cause, I've decided to stop and to run it on pause. Do you trust I can finish by going nowhere? Head where I'm going without leaving and still end up there? What I am doing is done, and now it's your turn. For what you know or think you know determines what you learn. See, I can write and not have written anything I have said, when what is read as written, how one sees it in his head. So if you hear when I write to you what you have heard before, then take it not as just that, or discover nothing more. My name is Joseph Xavier Patterson. The future is now. I may not be here tomorrow. Therefore, it is with great sustained deliberation, nearing all my current health might afford, I am disclosing key factors I have discovered pertaining to the validity of the Riemann Hypothesis. Abridged from volumes that there is no time to make time for, in order to redeem the time, I must differ. The following is S in the critical strip, real part, not equal to 1/2.
Differentials are used in computers to obtain continuously the algebraic sum of two quantities.
It is an astounding balance, fortified in unseen realms and playing out grandly in our shared reality, that massive breakthroughs shedding light on Riemann's zeta function and its relationship with quantities, locations, and other properties of prime numbers has left foundations cured with mystery and difficulty, such as the factoring of the products of primes uncracked, which leads us to the cracking of our own reality. Spending time as a community organizer, researching and developing modular sustainable systems for global solutions, I have realized the congruencies of problems such as the Riemann hypothesis to the ways in which we seek to establish the change that we would like to see in the world. I diverge to a metaphor of sports being a wide receiver in high school, I can only imagine all of the elaborate mathematical transactions taking place on that field. And how if I were the quarterback, how I would be anticipating a certain route by the wide receiver, and all of my decisions would be based upon analysis of his position according to the plan and everything else that had changed. Sound travels slower than the speed of light. So a wide receiver yelling that he's open, the sound that will reach the quarterback happens slower than the image of the wide receiver being open reaching the quarterback. So there is a delay in the perception of what the wide receiver is saying to the quarterback and where the wide receiver is, and the processing of that information, and then the reaction of the quarterback. So imagine if this same scene that was taking place on this 100-yard football field was taking place on a universal field that was a light year long. And the quarterback was expecting a route to be run by the wide receiver, for the wide receiver to be in a certain place, and the quarterback needs to interpret the light that's coming from the wide receiver as the image of him and any sounds coming from other players on the field and make decisions of what to do based upon these factors. The calculations that would be needed in order for the quarterback's actions to align with the intended goal of the play, when the light from the wide receiver is reaching the quarterback a year later, and all of the alignment that is needed and all of the cooperation that's needed is how I see the puzzle of taking the problems that are not necessary in this world and moving them and arranging them into the solutions, the change that we would like to see. And the way that I see this metaphor reflecting within the Riemann hypothesis has to do with prime numbers. And I believe that prime numbers have everything to do with phase, everything to do with cycles, everything to do with something coming back around. So the music of the prime numbers, as uncovered by the Riemann zeta function, is times when a number that only has one and itself as its factors lines up evenly with products of other numbers. The phase of the prime numbers and the perfect harmony that finds itself playing out within this elaborate math problem that has stood for over 1.5 centuries is a metaphor for the simple and complex way that we can decide to be in order to be in sync and in alignment with the change that we want to see in the world. We all speak of higher vibrations and existing on a higher frequency of awareness and understanding. All of the dimensions that come into play when analyzing this problem are few and many at the same time. The awareness and acknowledgement of a being in one dimension, that there is a higher dimension, is what is a precursor to envisioning that higher dimension. A prime number that exists with unknown factors is the dawning of a new dimension. Throughout the history of mankind, we have been learning and coming to new awarenesses of dimensions and incorporating them into the canon of our academics. Metaphorically, as a human species in relationship to the organism of the earth and the universe around it, we are dawning upon a new prime number. We can feel it coming because it seems like we're running out of options to divide into the reality that we're heading towards. And the synchronization and understanding of what is about to sync up based upon this coming prime number, and our ability to envision what this new prime number means, however large, however long we've been waiting for this new prime number to show up, however random we seem its arrival might be, many of us can feel it. Many of us can feel the information and the state of clarity coming. And we want to sync up and align with those things that will allow for us, just as that quarterback processes the information in the football field a light year long. We feel the alignment happening. And since the football field is so long, we have to, in faith, release the ball and trust because of an awareness and because of a communication, because of a quantum communication between the quarterback and the wide receiver, because of a way of being that they have chosen to exist in, that the release of the football before the light of the wide receiver and his current position has actually reached the quarterback is going to complete the pass and make the touchdown. And that is where we stand at the precipice that we are at in history, in which we have many diverging paths by which to take. But if we can calculate in faith the coming of this new prime number, we won't not take the steps to be the change we want to see in the world because of the lack of information and light that is coming. The light is coming, and we are that light.